hold on to your hats, folks, because you're not going to believe this.
Oh,
The
right.
scientists down under in Australia just achieved something absolutely mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
They created the world's first kangaroo embryo using IVF.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild, huh?
That's incredible. I mean, IVF usually makes me think of, humans trying to have babies.
Right, exactly.
But for kangaroos, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, it's not just about helping kangaroos have joeys, though.
No.
It turns out that this IVF technology could actually be a real game changer for saving endangered marsupials.
That's amazing. Really using cutting-edge science for conservation.
Exactly.
I love it. So what's the story? What's making this so groundbreaking?
Well, first off, Australia is like marsupial central,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's like their own little evolutionary branch of mammals.
Exactly. But here's the catch.
Oh,
Australia is also dealing with this, really devastating problem.
what is it?
They have the highest mammal extinction rate in the entire world.
That's heartbreaking. I mean, it's such a unique ecosystem.
I know, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a really good example of this is the Tasmanian devil.
Oh, yeah, those fierce little guys.
Yeah, they've been hit really hard by this horrible contagious facial tumor disease.
It's just devastating, wiping out huge chunks of their population.
Yeah, it's just awful. I mean, it's really put them on the critically endangered list.
It's a reminder of how fragile these populations can be.
It really is. And, it's not just the Tasmanian devils, right?
Right. There are so many other marsupials facing an uphill battle.
Exactly. Like, what else comes to mind?
Well, there's the bilby, for instance.
Oh, the little rabbit-eared guys.
Yeah, they're adorable, but sadly, they're losing their habitat and having to compete with all these introduced species.
So sad. It's like a double whammy for them.
It is. And then you have the mountain pygmy possum up in the Alps.
Aren't they, super tiny?
Yeah, they're absolutely minuscule, and climate change is making life incredibly tough for them.
Oh, man. It seems like every marsupial has its own struggle.
It does, but that's why this kangaroo IVF is giving everyone a glimmer of hope.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Okay?
I mean, why kangaroos? Why not focus on these endangered species right from the get-go?
Well, that's a great question. You see, eastern gray kangaroos are pretty common in Australia.
Oh, so there's a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. So scientists can use them to, perfect the IVF techniques.
So they're not risking harming an already vulnerable species.
Exactly. It's like a test run before they move on to the more delicate cases.
That's smart.
Mm.
So walk me through this process. How does IVF even work with marsupials? I mean, isn't it different from humans?
Well, the basics are kind of similar. You take an egg from the female and fertilize it with sperm from a male.
Okay, so that's familiar.
But here's the twist. Marsupials have this super unique way of reproducing.
What do you mean?
Their embryos only spend a very short time developing in the womb.
Wait, seriously?
Yep, and then they get transferred to the pouch. You know that pouch where they keep their joeys?
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's where the embryos finish growing.
Whoa, I had no idea it worked like that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So adapting IVF to marsupials is a whole other ballgame.
So how are scientists actually doing it?
It's pretty complex. They have to carefully collect mature eggs, which is already a challenge.
Yeah, I bet.
Then they inject a single sperm into each egg using this incredibly delicate technique.
Wow, that sounds super precise.
It is. And after that, they culture these fertilized embryos for a bit, just to give them a good start.
Okay, and then what happens?
Well, the ultimate goal is to transfer them into a surrogate mother's pouch.
Oh, wow. So she basically becomes the adoptive mom.
Exactly.
That's amazing. But I'm sure there are still some kinks to work out.
Definitely. Like cryopreservation is a big one.
Cryopreservation?
Yeah, it's like freezing and storing eggs and sperm.
Yeah.
So you can create these genetic banks.
Oh, like a backup plan for these species?
Exactly. It's like an insurance policy for their future.
That's so important.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned genetic diversity earlier,
Yes.
and I know it's vital for any species to survive.
Absolutely crucial.
But maybe you could give us a quick refresher on what that actually means.
Sure. Think of it like a toolbox,
A toolbox. Okay.
Yeah, a diverse gene pool is like a toolbox with all sorts of tools, hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches, the whole shebang.
I'm following you.
So the more diverse the genes within a population, the better equipped they are to handle whatever life throws at them.
So it's like they're ready for anything.
Exactly. Whether it's a new disease or climate change, they've got the genetic tools to adapt and thrive.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what happens if they don't have a diverse gene pool?
Well, it's like having a toolbox with only a hammer,
Not very helpful.
Not at all. You can't fix everything with just a hammer. And unfortunately, Lots of endangered marsupials are facing this exact problem.
Because their populations are so small.
Right, and often isolated, so their gene pool shrinks and they become super vulnerable.
That's where this IVF breakthrough could really make a difference, huh?
Absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
we can give them back those missing tools, add in some screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers.
Give them the genetic diversity they desperately need.
Exactly. It's about boosting their resilience and giving them a fighting chance in a changing world.
This is incredible stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like sci-fi, but it's actually happening. So what's the timeline for actually seeing IVF-assisted marsupial births?
Well, researchers are pretty optimistic. They think that with continued research and funding, of course,
Of course.
we could see a successful birth within the next decade.
A decade. That's not that far off.
It's an ambitious goal, for sure,
Yeah.
but the progress so far has been remarkable.
Wow. So we've talked about a lot.
We have.
We've gone from kangaroo embryos
Yes.
to Tasmanian devils
Yeah.
to genetic toolboxes.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and it's clear that this kangaroo IVF breakthrough is a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. It could revolutionize marsupial conservation.
Exactly. It's like a beacon of hope for these amazing creatures.
It is. And it really makes you think,
About what?
well, if we can do this with marsupials, what other incredible feats can we achieve?
To protect vulnerable species.
Exactly. With the right technology and a healthy dose of ethical consideration.
We might just be able to turn the tide.
Yes, and ensure a future where these unique and precious animals continue to thrive.
I like the sound of that. Well, folks, that's a wrap on another deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring and stay curious.
And let's all do our part to protect the amazing biodiversity of our planet.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Great talking to
Likewise.